All right. Welcome on, everybody. I'm gonna get this stream good to go. I'm gonna make sure we're good to go on Instagram, Facebook. Cool. We are on Instagram, um, Facebook, YouTube. It looks like so. Welcome to the stream, guys. We do these weekly. Padoreno says first. You are the first. Welcome, welcome. We're gonna get right into it, guys. Here in a minute, we're going to talk about how to not blow up in a race when you get to the last 10 miles, 20 miles, and your legs just blow up and you're pretty much crawling to the finish line. So we're going to be talking about that today. But before we get into that, I'm just going to make sure that we have everything going on all streams. Let me check YouTube real quick, make sure we're good there. Okay, sweet. All right. Welcome on, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. We do these every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. So make sure you join us. Each day is something different. Today we talk about training, which is our typical Mondays. Tuesday, I believe Tuesday is actually race specific, where we talk about some races coming up. Wednesday, we get a guest on the show and we share the story of a guest and someone who's overcome amazing things in their life, and we share their story. Thursday is race director Q&A, and then Friday is real life stuff, managing real life stuff with running. So welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you guys get a lot of value out of this. And yeah, so if you are watching, leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Are you watching from work? Are you watching from, hopefully you're not driving, but are you watching from the inside of a car? Let me know. I had a guy watching from a ski lift yesterday, or on Friday. There's someone who was watching from a ski lift. So, but let's crack open this Red Bull. Let's get it started. All right. We'll let a few more people roll in here. I know we got quite a few people on watching. Welcome to the stream, guys. We just had a huge event in Outlast event this past weekend. If you go to our Instagram, Textile Running, and Facebook, you'll see our post. We did we had a huge turnout for Outlast Austin Night Out Edition. There were an insane amount of people, and we got a video of people running, and it's pretty cool. There's like hundreds of people running through the Outlast Arch with headlamps. It was a cool sight to see. But we just wrapped that up. We also had Nightclaw this past weekend, which is pretty cool. That's a good race. C Cheetah says, watching from work. Are you working? Is this part of your work? What's up, Braden? Braden, you're supposed to be on the podcast with me, man. BK Gunn is he just got done helping racetrack the Nightclaw this past weekend. All right, let's hop right into this, guys. Let's get into the video today, which is we talk about something that'll bring you value in your training, and today's stream is how to stop blowing up in the last 10 miles. If you've ever done a race, an ultra marathon, 5K, whatever, there's always a point where at the end of the event or the end of the race, you blow up. And trail and ultra runners, if you've ever blown up in the last few miles, or you're terrified you're going to blow up in your first 50K or your first 100K, this live stream is for you. And so hopefully this can bring you a lot of value, help you out in your training, and you can take something away and apply it to your training. So let's hop right into it. So if you're eyeing your first half marathon, 50K, 100K, most of you don't want to be crawling in the last 10 miles. I can guarantee you, as a person who's done it, it sucks. So my promise is by the end of this video or the end of this live stream, you're going to know exactly how fast to start, how to adjust for heat and hills, and how to watch on your watch so you don't detonate. So let's get right into it. What are some of the biggest reasons runners blow up at the end of a race, 100K, marathon, 50K, whatever it is? So The three biggest causes that people blow up in a race, number one, is starting at goal pace instead of all-day pace. This is huge in the trail and ultra running world. It doesn't matter if you're doing a 5K or if you're doing 100 miles. A lot of people will start out at a goal pace and they'll say, I want to run this pace for this many miles. And so I'm going to start out at this really, really decent goal pace. Okay. That's a completely wrong way to go about it. Whenever you start a trail and ultra running event, whatever it is, you want to start with an all-day pace. And so an all-day pace is a pace where when you start, it feels so easy. You're like, dude, like I could do this all day. That's an all-day pace. And so many people will start their first marathon, their first 50K, first 100K, first 100 mile, and they'll start out at a goal pace and they'll completely burn themselves out and blow up. But there's the smart people, which they start with an all-day pace. And the all-day pace is a pace where you're running it at the start of a race and you're like, dude, I could run this pace all day. And if you got an all-day pace when you start a race, you're starting it off right, and you want to hold that. And so that's the number one biggest cause is people start at goal pace instead of an all-day pace. That's reason number one, people blow up in a race. Reason number two, a lot of people don't match the pace to the terrain or the climate. And so what I mean by that is we'll have people from Texas go sign up for a 50K in Colorado. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to try to run a 6-hour 50K. And they get out there, it ends up being a 10-hour 50K. Why is that? Well, it's because they're climbing up these extreme mountains at altitude, which they're not adjusted to, and their pace significantly slowed down. And so there's that aspect of it. Also, the climate. A lot of people will start off a race and they won't take into account, for example, the heat. If it's hot, you are going to run extremely slow. Just heads up. If you're a runner and you don't know, if you run in the heat, your pace is going to be slow compared to if you're running in the cold weather, the cooler weather. And so this is a big one. Like during the summer, I'll go and I'll run 8 or 9 minute pace in the heat and I'm pushing it. Once fall comes around, it's 50 to 70 degrees outside. I'm going like 7 to 8 minute pace easy. Well, why is that? Well, in the heat, your body's working way, way harder. And in the cold, your muscles and your body, they're not working as hard. They're not having to keep up as much. And so it's a little bit easier. And so when you're starting these races, whatever the distance is, when you start a trail and ultra marathon running event, you want to take into account, number one, the terrain. Is this going to be super hilly, mountainous? And if it is, you want to slow your roll, okay? And then you want to take into consideration the weather or the temperature. If it's going to be hot, sorry, man, but you're not going to run a sub 18-minute 5K like you do in the winter in the middle of the summer. It's just not going to happen. Or same goes for any distance. That's just an example. But you need to match your pace to your terrain and heat. If I were to go and run a marathon right now in the dead of summer, it's August in Texas, right? If I go run a marathon, 26.2 miles, it's probably going to be like 9-minute pace. But if I wait till the fall or spring when it's nice and cool, 50 to 70 degrees, I'm probably going to go like 7-minute pace, 7:30 pace because I don't have the heat beating down on me, breaking my body down, pushing me. And that's another thing too, guys. Like in the summer, give yourself a break. A lot of people are real up and tight about their paces and they're like, oh, I want to do this pace, right? But in the summer, just run. You're not going to hold a good pace in the summer, guys. It's hot. Your body can't keep up. And because of that, give yourself some grace when you're training in the summer. Now, whenever it's fall and spring, if you're shooting for a certain pace, great. Go for it. Do it. But in the summer, it's too hot. So if you're going way slower than you want in the summer, give yourself grace. That's okay. It's totally normal. Give yourself spring, winter, fall. You'll be running way faster then, and you'll see why. The third biggest cause for why people blow up in a race. This one's hilarious. One of the big reasons people blow up in a race is because they're treating the ultra marathon like it's a road half marathon instead of a trail ultra marathon. And there's a big difference between running a nice, smooth road half marathon in a trail 50K. When I first started trail and ultra running, I learned this the hard way. My first ever ultra marathon was actually a one that some dude put together in his backyard on his bike, and he drove around the city marking this course. It's called the race was called the golly, what was it called? It was called it was over oh, it was called the Fayette Hill 50K. So my first ever 50K was this like random 50K called the Fayette Hill 50K. There's no entry fee. When you show up to sign in at this guy's house, so you walked into his backyard and signed a piece of paper with your name on it. Okay. Again, no entry fee. After that, we all lined up outside of his house in front of his driveway. And we all said a pledge as our waiver, basically saying, hey, we're not going to sue this guy if we get hurt or die. And then we started the race, and we all ran together like the first mile or two. And then after that, we followed this guy's chalk. He went and marked 30 miles of chalk through Fayetteville, Arkansas. And we ran that course all throughout trails, mountains, roads. It was a really, really cool event. And when we finished, we got a popsicle stick as a finisher medal. Now, that was my first ever 50K. Okay. And I treated that 50K like I did a road half marathon. I had like barely any water on me, and I wasn't fueling properly. I was like 10 miles in. I passed the first aid station. I was like, I don't need this thing. Like, aid stations are for the weak. I don't need this. I kept going. And then I started running like 7 or 8 minute pace. Like I was running some big city marathon. What was I thinking? I don't know. It was my first one. I didn't know what I was doing. Next thing you know, I'm at mile 20 walking, and I could barely walk. And the last 10 miles is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because I completely blow myself up. I had no nutrition. I was pushing myself in the heat, in the mountains, in the hills, in the trails, and I completely jacked myself up. And after that is when I learned how important it is to stop at the aid stations, even if you think you're good. If you think you're good in the ultra marathon, you're not good. Make sure you take every opportunity to refill, get your water, get all that. And so that ultra marathon I ended up doing, I got to 20 miles feeling really good. I got to mile 21, felt like trash. I had to go up this mountain. I could barely walk up it. I got to an aid station. I just sat there with my head down. I have it on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. It's called My First Ever 50K. And I got video of me just sitting there with my head down, talking about how bad it sucks because I blew myself up like an idiot. And so I tried to refuel, got some water, trotted off. At this point, I was going like 20, 30-minute mile pace. And I just walked all the way to the finish line. And I was dehydrated. I had no fuel in me. And I just pretty much crawled to the finish line. It was a pretty terrible experience. But I finished, but it sucked. And one thing I've learned just with my experience of ultra marathons and big hikes is that when you get the feeling to where you can barely pick up and move your legs, that is a sign that you need to put food and calories into your body. To put it simply, if your legs feel like you can barely walk with them and there's no energy in them, and they're just heavy and you're barely just scooting, you need calories in your body. Okay. Calories are like gasoline for a car. And can you run a car on no gasoline? No. A lot of people in these races, when they're blowing up, one of the biggest things they do is they don't put fuel in their body, the gasoline their body needs. And because of that, they completely blow up and they run out of gas, and they're basically crawling to the finish line. And so if you don't want to be crawling into the finish line, make sure you put fuel into your body, put calories in your body, because your body needs that to burn energy to then move your legs. And so learn from my mistakes. Stop at the aid stations. Eat a whole bunch of food at the aid stations. Get a lot of calories in you and keep going. Okay. And also, again, tying it back to the first thing I said, make sure you're running at an all-day pace when you start these ultra marathons. You want to start at a pace where the first 20 miles, you're like, dude, this is easy. I could just go all day. That's the pace you want. So that's, I guess in a nutshell, the 3 biggest reasons runners blow up. Number 1, they go out at goal pace instead of all-day pace. Number 2, They're not matching their pace to the terrain or the heat. And number three, they're not fueling properly. They're throwing it down half a banana and maybe a little bit of water, like they're running a road 5K, instead of gulping down food, getting electrolytes, getting a whole bunch of water like you should in an ultra marathon. All right. So that's the three biggest causes why people blow up. So let's hop into the pacing blueprint. And so this is big. A lot of people have issues with pacing during these ultra marathons or these races. And there's kind of a simple rule of thumb when it comes to pacing, whether this kind of applies to any distance, but mainly for ultra marathons. Some of the simple rule of thumbs is you first need to figure out what the actual all-day pace actually feels like. So in your training, you need to practice the all-day pace, and you need to practice it on a lot of your long runs, okay? Everyone who's training for an ultra marathon, once a week, you should be running for a few hours. I mean, there's no debating that. If you're running an ultra marathon, you need to be running at least a minimum 2 to 3 hours per weekend. Just one run, 2 to 3 hours minimum. Okay, that's absolute minimum. But on that run, you want to find a pace where you're like, dude, I could literally run this for the next 12 hours. All right, that's your all-day pace. There's different methodologies behind that as well. People get into heart rate and all that stuff. And the whole thing with heart rate's not super accurate, because sometimes, like, if you're sick, your heart rate's going to be jacked up. If you're stressed, your heart rate's going to be jacked up. If you're anxious, your heart rate's going to be jacked up. And so you can't just always go off of heart rate, unfortunately. But you can go off of feel and effort. And so that's the biggest thing I always recommend people is go on effort and feel. And that's how you find your all-day pace. So there's that. Then within the race, you need to break your race up into 3 pacing strategies. So you got your first third, your middle third, and your last third pacing strategy. And so this is called the third pacing strategy. This is the strategy you want to use for any and every race that you do. The first third of your race, you want to do your all-day pace, a pace where you're like, dude, I am just cruising. This is chill. The middle third of your race is arguably mentally the hardest part of your race, but that's where you will begin to transition from your all-day pace to, can I actually hold this all-day pace? Is this still all-day pace? And so your middle third of the race is when you begin to feel the pains. Your legs might start feeling tired. You're going to start experiencing the effects of fatigue. And during that, you kind of just want to maintain that all-day pace, but you also want to, like, check yourself. Like, if you're in the middle of your race and you're in the middle third, you're at, the 33 to 66% of your race completed, you want to start checking, okay, I'm going to hold this all-day pace, but can I go faster, or do I need to slow it down so I can finish this last third? And that's the question you have to ask in the middle third of that race is this a pace? Number one, can I hold it? And if I can hold it at the end of this third, will I be able to start picking it up? Or in the middle of this third, do I need to tone it down because this actually is getting harder? And so that's when you begin to make those decisions. When you get to the last third of your race, this is the last part of the pacing strategy. When you get to the last third of your race, if it's a 5K, this is the last mile. If it's 100K, this is the last 20 miles. When you get to the last third, at this point, it's going to hurt and you just got to grind it out. But the pace at which you're at determines how you're going to end up finishing. So when you get to the last third of your race, if you're going your all-day pace and it feels good, you need to pick it up a little bit. You're at this point, you're at the end of the race, you're going to hit a wall. You've probably already gotten close to hitting a wall, but you're going to hit a wall. But if you're feeling good at the last third of your event or your race and you're using the all-day pace, pick it up. If you're at the end of your last third of your race and you're at all-day pace and it starts to hurt, try to maintain the all-day pace. But if it gets to a point where you need to start slowing down that all-day pace so that way you can still have a consistent finish, do it. At this point, it's all on feel. It's all on fuel, and fuel does determine how you feel. If you've been fueling throughout the race very well, the last third of your race, you're going to have the energy and the capacity to be able to pick it up and keep going. However, if you haven't been fueling well, the last third of your race, you're probably going to see a decline in effort and fatigue and an increase in fatigue. And that's just part of the game. And so at the end of the race, at the end of the within the last third of this pacing strategy, it's your decision based on your feel, based on how you feel. But fuel is ultimately what determines how you're going to feel within this pacing strategy. And so that's the third pacing strategy. Just a little recap. First third of the race, go ahead and it's super easy all day pace. That you can I can do this all day. The middle third of the race, this is when you're holding that all day pace, but you're feeling it out. You're seeing, okay, is this still an all day pace? If it is, great, let's keep it. If it's not, okay, maybe I need to slow it down a little bit more. That last third of the pacing strategy is, all right, we're almost done with this race. How do I feel? Do I feel pretty good? All right, let's pick it up. Or do I feel like absolute dog crap? Okay, maybe I'll slow down a little bit, try to get more fuel in me and keep going. Okay, so there's that pacing strategy. All right, another rule of thumb. How much slower do you need to go if you're in the heat or on climbs? Great question. Whenever it comes to pacing within the pacing blueprints, when it comes to heat or climbing, there's a few kind of rules of thumb. So number one, if you're on a climb and it's an extremely steep climb, you might be going 30-minute mile pace, but be at max effort. On the other side of that, if you're on a flat road, you might be going 6-minute pace and at max effort. And so why are you going 30-minute pace and breathing, hard breathing, can barely get up it? And then on a flat road, you're on 6-minute pace. Why is it the same effort, but two completely different paces? Well, it's because of the incline, obviously, right? And that incline is an area where you have to measure your pace, not by your actual number that it says on your watch, but by effort. And so let's say I go run a 6-minute mile and I'm like, that's all out for me. And like, I'm absolutely breathing hard. I'm exhausted, right? 6-minute mile. That's as fast as I could possibly go. Well, then let's say I go up a mountain. That's a mile-long mountain. And on that mountain, I'm going as hard as I can, but it's only 30-minute pace. In that case, you are doing the exact same effort than if you're doing a 6-minute mile. You might be going a 30-minute mile pace, but doing the same effort at a 6-minute mile, and it's equally as difficult. And so whenever you're trying to figure out how much slower to go in climbs, go based by effort. And so you know your body best. And so when you're doing your training runs, if there's a certain pace where the effort feels moderately hard, or maybe just a nice good in the middle. It's not easy, but it's not hard. We usually call that a tempo in running, but a good tempo pace, right? And let's say you're going to go do a mountain race somewhere. Well, on that mountain race, you might be going 20-minute pace, but you're going to feel it at the same effort. And so there's no exact formula for how much slower to go up a climb. The only way to know is just go based on effort. Guys, also look at it this way. Olympians, like Olympian runners back in the day before watches and paces, they all just went on effort. Before there were watches, whenever people would go out and train, these distance runners in the early 1900s, distance runners in the early 1900s, they didn't have a watch. They didn't have a Garmin. They would just go based on effort and feel. And honestly, I think a big part of the running world needs to go back to that, because a lot of people get so mathematical and they're like, oh, I need to go this pace to get this time. And it's like, no, dude, like, what effort are you at? Is this, if you're in a race, it needs to be a very hard effort. If it's a recovery run, it needs to be an easy effort. Throw pace out the window. Throw heart rate out the window. Throw it all out the window. Just go based on how it feels. Because if you do your training based on how it feels, you're going to have a better outcome overall, and you're going to know your body better. And so that way, when you're in actual races, you're going to be like, hey, like, I know how I feel right now, and I know that I can't do this for long, so I need to slow it down. And so that's the biggest thing, guys, whenever it comes to knowing how much slower to go when you're doing a climb in a big race versus training. It's just go based on feel. And then going to heat, when it comes down to, how much slower will I go in the heat versus good weather, I can kind of put a mathematical number on it when it comes to pace. So I'll give you an example for me. Whenever I'm training in the heat, a 9-minute pace is a pretty easy run for me. However, whenever I'm training in the cold weather in the fall, the winter, the spring, a 8-minute pace is pretty easy for me. And so those paces range as you go bigger. And so if a 20-minute mile pace is easy for you in the summer, in the winter, a 15-mile pace might be easier for you. And those paces range. And obviously the faster you go, the faster those paces get together. And so on an extreme example, let's say you got heat pace over here, cold pace over here. Over here in the heat pace, let's say it's 20-minute mile pace. That's your easy run. Well, in the cold, it's going to be a 15-minute pace. Let's say over here in the heat is an easy run for you is 10-minute pace. Well, in the cold, it's probably going to be like around 9 minutes to 8 minutes, right? Let's say 8-minute pace is easy for you in the heat. Well, in the winter, around a 7-minute pace is going to be easier for you. But this is where it gets crazy. Let's say in the heat, a 6-minute pace is easy for you, like a 6-minute per mile pace. In the winter, a 5:30-mile pace might be easy for you. But the faster you get, the closer those margins get. And so whenever you're trying to figure out how to pace for the heat, it all depends on like what your pace is currently in the heat. And depending on how fast it is, depends on how much faster it's going to be in the winter or spring or anything like that. And so whenever the heat comes around, add a few minutes to your time. Obviously, depending on your pace, depends on like how many minutes to add. So yeah. So there's that. And then next thing when it comes to pacing is how to adapt depending on based on the region you're going to be running in. And so whenever you're doing your pacing strategy for a race to make sure you don't blow up, it all depends on where you're racing, depends on what your pacing strategy is going to be. And so number one, I mean, especially you guys that live in Texas, you guys know this, but heat and humidity absolutely throw pace out the window. If it's hot and humid, your pace is going to be significantly slower. And so that's why you see a lot of these cats from like, if you ever see somebody from Colorado or one of these nice, cool, beautiful mountain states come down to, let's say, like Houston, Texas, to do the Houston Marathon, the heat and humidity in Houston is going to be tough for a guy from Colorado. It's a completely different game. There's people that I know that are runners that come out to the southern part of the United States where it's really hot, humid, and sticky, and they absolutely hate it. They're like, dude, this sucks. Like, I have a friend, Philip. He lives in Amarillo, Texas. It's nice and dry heat there. When he comes out east, he absolutely hates this humid heat. It freaking sucks. And that's why they call it poor man's altitude. But number one, heat and humidity are going to slow your race down significantly. So when you're starting your race, if you know it's going to be hot and humid, go slower than you think you need to go. And what do you do if you're from flatland going to a hilly race? That's another great question. We got a lot of people that live in the flatland part of the United States where there's not many hills. So if you're going to go race in an area that's super hilly, but you don't live in an area that's super hilly, well, there's a few things you can do. And I did cover this on a podcast or the last live stream a couple of days ago. But number one, treadmills. Hit that incline on the treadmill. Do a bunch of runs where you're using that incline on the treadmill. Stairmasters, right? That's another good option. I've heard of parking garages as good options. Even if you have the smallest hill in your neighborhood, let's say you have like a little hill in your neighborhood, Now, hear me out. It's super boring, but if you run up and down that hill 100 times, that's still pretty decent hill training. And I've done it before. I know a lot of runners that have done it. They'll go run a short loop up and down this hill that's very short, but it's hill training. So if you're doing a race that's in the hills or the mountains, you need to do some sort of hill training, because if you don't, you're going to get there and get completely destroyed. So make sure you got hill training if you're signing up for a race in the mountains or in the hills. And then, how do you use aid stations without bleeding time? This is another great question. So when you go and do these trail and ultra marathon races, the number one time killer of pace is time spent at the aid station. So how do you overcome that? How do you get a faster get in, get out at the aid stations? Well, there's a few things you can do. The number one thing I see the fast elite runners do is they'll have a crew, and the crew already knows what this runner wants before they even show up. And so the runner shows up, grabs a few things from his crew, and then he's out in 10 seconds. Okay. However, if you're like most people, you don't have a crew, that's okay. And the best way to get in and out of aid station is to not get comfortable. That's the number one thing. The moment you get comfortable at an aid station, time goes out the window, pace goes out the window, and mentally you start to go out the window as well. And so whenever you're at an aid station, don't get comfortable. Stay uncomfortable, because the moment you get comfortable, it's game over. For most people, that's where I see the most people quit, because they get comfortable. They're like, oh, this is nice. I kind of want to get home and shower. And they quit and they DNF and they go home because they got too comfortable at the aid station. Whenever you're uncomfortable and you're doing something that's hard, don't get comfortable, because you're going to want more of that, because that's the natural human desire, is to want to be comfortable and have the things of comfort. And if you give yourself too much of that during an ultra marathon, you're probably not going to finish. So best thing to do, number one, stay uncomfortable. Number two, when you're at an aid station and you're just trying to get in and out, grab what you need. Look at the food you want. For me, I mean, I'll destroy some oatmeal cream pies. Like if I'm at an aid station, there's oatmeal cream pie, they're going to be all gone. Sorry. Like I apologize to the race director, but I'm eating all of them. That's number one. And I'm just trying to stuff my face, get a bunch of calories. But I see a lot of people, they'll show up to an aid station, they'll get the bottles refilled. I mean, that's super important. But then they'll go ahead and grab the stuff they're going to eat and then just keep walking and take it with them. And so if you want to save some time, show up to an aid station, get your bottles and all that filled up, number one. Number two, grab food, and all the food you want to eat, walk with it. Start jogging with it. Start running with it, and eat as you go. That's a good way to quickly get in and out of an aid station, and it keeps you from getting comfortable. A lot of people will find a chair, sit back, spend 30 minutes at the aid station, and they could have already done 2 miles by the time they get out of the aid station. So that's the best way to use aid station without bleeding out time when it comes to that. And so overall, guys, some of the biggest things when it comes to not blowing up in these ultra marathons, some of the biggest things it comes down to is, and we've talked a lot about it, fueling, your pacing strategy and using that all day pace, and then making sure in your training, you're actually trained for the race you're experiencing, and you have those long runs stacked up on the back end going into that race. Like if you're going to go do a 50K and it's going to take you 6 to 8 hours, you need to do a few long runs going into that race that are around 3-ish hours at minimum, at absolute minimum. If you got your first 50K in let's say 12 weeks, and you sign up for a 50K, you got 3 months to train. All right, at minimum, and yes, you need to build up to it, but at minimum, you need 2 to 3 hour long runs on the weekends. In addition to that, you need to, as that event gets closer, you need to do one big run like 2 weeks before. 2 weeks before a 50K, go get a big 5-hour run in, 6-hour run in, and really get your legs prepared and muscles ready for what it's about to happen to them in the next 2 weeks. And so the fueling, pacing strategy, and then also getting your long runs in on the weekend. Again, one long run a week, just getting those in on the weekends, that's going to help you out. And if you do those things, it will help prevent you blowing up at the end of the race. And so the long runs are so key to doing that. The long runs basically space out. Like every time you do a long run, it makes your legs stronger, and every time your legs get built up and get stronger after a long run, it delays how much time before you hit that wall in the race. And so I'll give you an example. Let's say in your training, you're doing your long runs consistently. Let's say you're training for the 50K, right? So one long run, you do 1 to 2 hours. Next long run, you do 2 to 3 hours. 2 weeks before the race, you do a 5 to 6 hour long run. Your legs can now go 5 to 6 hours. And the next time you do it, it's going to be a little bit easier. So let's say you do that 5 to 6 hour long run 2 weeks before your race. Then you go into the race 2 weeks later. You get to that 5 to 6 hour mark, and it's actually easier than it was in training because you've already done it. But because you've already done it, the time before you hit that wall decreases. And that's what you're looking for. You're trying to decrease the amount of time between the finish line and you hitting the wall and you blowing up. You're trying to decrease that as much as possible. And the best way to decrease it are the long runs, are fueling, and pacing. There was one time in a race where I was doing a 50K and I felt so freaking good. I hit mile 15. I was like, dude, this is easy. It was my all-day pace, right? And so I hit mile 15, and I thought it was the easiest thing ever. So I was like, I'm going to pick it up. Next thing you know, I thought I was an Olympic runner and started going 6-minute pace during this 30-mile trail run, thinking I was some elite runner. And the next thing you know, mile 20 comes around, and I'm freaking hurting, and my legs blow up, and I can barely hold a 15-minute pace. And so don't be a hero in the middle of your race, guys. If you're going to pick up the pace, wait till the last third of your race to make that decision. And so that's one of the biggest things. one of the bigger things that I learned from is when you feel good in the middle of an ultra marathon, don't you dare pick up the pace. Hold it. And then the last third, you have permission to pick it up. And so don't be like me, where you think you're freaking I can't think of his name, Steve Prefontaine. Yeah. Don't think you're like me, last halfway through the race, Steve Prefontaine, and you could just pick it up to 6-minute pace and then hold that for the rest of the race. It's not likely. If you're feeling good, hold it. And then the last of the race, if you are feeling good, you can pick it up. So that's my recommendations there. So there is all of that, guys. That's the biggest thing as it comes down to, as far as like how to not blow up when you're doing, whether it's your first ultra marathon or even if you're a seasoned pro. That's the biggest things to do to not blow up. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna open it up to Q&A, and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the chat, leave it in the comments. We have quite a few people watching right now, and so if you guys have any questions in general, go ahead and drop them, and we're gonna open up for Q&A. So we got some time. Hopefully this was valuable for you guys, and some of you learned how to not blow up the last 10 miles of your race. So, all right, we got let's see, Ryan Adams. Ryan, cool username, man. Sign up for my first ultra May 1st next year. What is the biggest thing you'd recommend to focus on training for that? My biggest focus for you, Ryan Adams, Ryan, 100%. I mean, you got till May. It's August, so I recommend building up to a point in your training where you can run at least 1 hour a day, Monday through Friday. And then on the weekend, you're doing a big long run of 2 to 3 hours. And as the race gets closer, do 2 weeks before the 50K or whatever your ultra is, do a big half day, all day run. And at that point, you'll be good to go going into your first ultra. But yeah, I mean, the goal for anyone doing the first ultra, I mean, if you can get to where you can run 1 hour a day and then on the weekends run for a few hours straight, you're going to be good to go, and you'll be ready for your first ultra. And so you just want to slowly build up to that point. You don't want to, like, if you can barely run 30 minutes every other day right now, you don't want tomorrow to start running an hour a day. What you want to do is you want to start off, maybe you do 20 minutes a day or 20 minutes every other day. Then the next week you do 20 minutes a day. And then the next week you do 25 to 30 minutes a day. Then the next week you do 30 to 35. And you build up to where then you can do 1 hour a day. And then you do, on the weekends, you go and do a few hours. Notice I'm using hours and not miles, because everyone's pace is different. But it doesn't matter if you run 8 miles an hour or 4 miles in an hour. You're still on your feet for that amount of time. And that's what you want to focus on, is being on your feet for that amount of time. So there's that. Nathan said, I get blisters on the side of my left big toe all the time. Toe socks don't work either. They actually got worse. You recommend trying taping them? Dude, when it comes to blisters, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started running, like the first year or two, I got blisters all the time. And I would pop them, and I would put like a Band-Aid on them, or tape, something like that. But over time, those blisters have turned into calluses. And so now I don't get any more blisters on my feet, just because they've built up so much. Like I've been running for like probably close to 10 years now. I've been running 8 years straight, like serious training 8 years, but 10 years I've been a runner. And after a couple years, or after like a year or two, they've completely calloused over. Now I just don't really get blisters as much. But when I do, when I get blisters, I pop them, and I throw some a Band-Aid or tape or whatever over them, and they end up being all right. So that's part of the game, man. Blisters suck, but it's just something you experience when you're kind of first getting back into it. But if you're running year round, like I'm a runner that runs year round, and whenever I'm running year round, I've just built calluses against the blisters. I don't get them anymore. I might get them on some bigger, like really big, longer stuff, like 50 miles or 100-mile events. But taping them works the best. So Shane Gumby, would you consider the Outlast event in Shreveport doable for a guy in a wheelchair? Oh, what's up, Shane? I talked to you at the gym, man. We need to get you on the live stream. Great question, Shane. Honestly, man, I personally, I haven't been out at Shreveport, but we have one of the race directors who has. So I have 2 recommendations there. Number one, I would go out there yourself and check out the trails and see if it's big enough for a wheelchair. I know some parts of the trail out in Shreveport, I know they're big enough for a wheelchair, but there's some trails that are like single track mountain bikes. So it completely depends. So I would either recommend going out there and checking it out, or you can email. I think I'm going to just try to put it in the chat for you, but Haley, she's put a race out there. You could email her and ask her. I'm going to go ahead and put her email in the chat for you, and she'll let you know. Let's see. TexasOutlawRunning.com. All right. I think that's it. Yeah. All right. I just put the email in the chat. So reach out to Haley, and she's going to help you out. Cool. All right. Let's see. We got some other questions here. Where's the Oklahoma Trail doing the 50K? If you're referring to the Oklahoma Trail Running Festival, the Oklahoma Trail Running Festival is, I don't remember exact trail what it's on, but I know it's like pretty much near Oklahoma City. If you type in Oklahoma Trail Running Festival on Google, and you click the sign up page, it'll give you the exact location. I'm not the race director, so I personally don't know. I know Braden Gunn, the race director for that race, he was actually in the chat, so maybe he can answer that question. All right. We got another question here. How can you train for humidity if you're from a colder country / area than where your race is? Yeah, so humidity, if you want to train for humidity and you live in a cold area, the best thing you could possibly do is throw on some warm clothes or a hoodie during your training. Maybe throw on a weight vest too, and have resistance training. I've seen guys do heat training for races. I've in colder areas doing some crazy stuff. Some guys they'll drive in their car with hoodies on, windows rolled up in the middle of the summer, and it'll be like 100 degrees in their car, and they've done that for getting heat acclimated. There's guys that will, lock themselves in a garage or a room with a treadmill, put a hoodie on, turn the heaters on, train that way. Um, I recommend, if you are from a cold area, trying to run in a warmer area, you definitely want to get heat acclimated. So doing everything you can to sweat, and that's going to prepare you the best. So I do think there's a feature on here. I don't know if there is. I think there's a feature on here where I can like live chat with you guys, where you can hop on. Cool. Thanks for the good question, Tals Marie. Shane said, "What does a rescue mission look like for, say, someone down on the trail?" A great question, Shane. If someone's down on a trail, if we're in the middle of a trail race and somebody needs help, first thing we do is we locate the person, and we figure out where they are based on other runners. Once we figure out where the person is, we'll go find them, see what the issue is. If it's emergency, we call 911. 911 comes out with a backboard on the trail, and we get the person out if we have to. And if it's not an emergency, but someone just has like a hurt thing, but it's not like EMS needed, then we'll just help get that person off the trail, get them to the start finish line, and treat them there. But yeah, we try to find someone first, figure out where they are. After we do that, if we have to get in there with EMS and backboard them out, we will. We've done it before. That's kind of what a rescue mission looks like. We get in there, and if we have to hike somebody 3 miles out, we will. It sucks, but you got to do what you got to do. So, some super remote places in the United States, I wouldn't say for our races necessarily, but some super remote places, sometimes you're so far deep in the wilderness that they got to send a helicopter in to drop a board down where you're then put on the board, and they put you in the helicopter and then take you to the nearest hospital. That is expensive. There's actually an insurance out there for that, where you can pay like, I forgot how much it was. I think it was like 30 bucks a month or something. But if you ever have to get rescued by a helicopter, it's covered. So there's that. Yeah, Shane. Yeah. If anyone has to come rescue you in the wheelchair, man, we'll have to strap you down, or I don't know. We'd get a bunch of guys around a backboard and throw you on there if we had to. Sarah, what's up, Sarah? Sitting in a steam room for 8 minutes between intervals on a treadmill can help. 20 minutes on a treadmill, 8 minutes in a steam room, and repeat that. Yes, that is great heat training. 2 is getting in the saunas or steam rooms. I think that they're pretty much the same thing. But if you are heat training, a lot of gyms have access to or provide access to saunas or steam rooms, and you're able to use those for training. I've sat in those before. It's hard to sit on them, but it's great for heat training. So it's hard to stay in there though. It's hard to breathe in there. So Eric _____. Eric said, "Did Outlast Night Out in Austin this past weekend. It was so much fun. Great event. Y'all did a great job organizing. Thank you, Eric or Erich." Haley was the main race director for Outlast Austin Night Out Edition. She is a phenomenal race director, and she looks like she put on a pretty great event. So shout out to Haley for putting on an awesome event. She's off today, because she stayed up all night taking down after the race, and then traveling back to East Texas. So All right, if you have any other questions, throw them in. Q&A. Let's see here. Oh, I can actually show on the stream when people ask a question. Cool. I'm going to do that now. All right. What's up? We got another question from Shane. What is considered a good pace time for beginner runners? Shane, for beginner runners, I think a good pace is like, if you're a beginner, like 10 to 12 minute pace. I'd say that's a pretty good pace. Well, being in a wheelchair, I don't know wheelchair paces. I want to say they're probably pretty similar. I could be wrong though. Jermone Powell said, "Hey guys, or can you guys add a 12-hour to the Waco event?" Potentially. We're actually in the middle of kind of seeing if people like the 12 and 24-hour Outlast events. If people like it, we'll do more of them. It just depends on how many signups we get. So, but yeah, it all depends. So, Carly, this is my wife. What's up, Carly? Kayla wants you to make a Runner for Dummies guide. Can you give some tips? I should write a book called Runner for Dummies. I feel like that's already a book. I think that's already a book. Runner for Dummies. I could be wrong though. I need to Google that. Runner for Dummies. I'd say number one is the number one thing someone can do if they're just like getting into fitness or running is consistently just getting on their feet for 30 minutes a day, like waking up early while it's still cool out, going and doing a walk/jog for 30 minutes Monday through Friday, no matter what. That's the biggest thing. Consistency is the biggest thing for any beginner runner. Like the thing that's going to set you apart is going to get you anywhere in any type of fitness you want in life is consistency. And so if you're a beginner runner, number one thing is just Monday through Friday, no matter what, getting out the door, doing 20, 30 minutes on your feet, doing a walk, maybe throwing a little jog in there. That's the best way to do it. And it comes down to consistency. There's no special tricks. There's nothing glorified about it. It sucks. I don't feel like waking up, going running in the morning. It's just part of what makes you better in life is by doing the things you don't want to do that then make you better. And if you can master that and just nail it down on a simple level of, hey, I'm going to go out and do 20 to 30 minutes a day, then you're going to be set up for success. So I guess that's my Runner for Dummies guide. Just like be consistent and do 20, 30 minutes a day on your feet if you're just starting out, and do it no matter what. Do it tired, do it crying, whatever. Shane said, I'm at a 10. You guys don't know. I don't know if you guys know, but Shane is in a wheelchair, which is freaking phenomenal. And he did a really great job at our Up and Away event. And yeah, 10's good. I want to say that wheelchairs are pretty equivalent to runners as far as like it's the same amount of effort for the same pace. And so 10 minutes really good. When will the results for Nightclaw be posted? Nightclaw is going to be posted here, in the official results will be today or tomorrow usually. So official results get posted within a few days. Sometimes we have live results as long as we have internet access at the event, and live results are not super accurate, but they're there. And then if that's not available, you'll get your official results in a few days. So Kenneth, did you get clawed? Did you do the claw challenge? Did the claw get you, or did you escape the claw? If you have any other questions, guys, put them in the chat. I got 3 more minutes, and then I'm going to hop off, and then we're going to be on the stream again tomorrow. So if you got any other questions, go ahead and shoot them in. I did miss some stuff from earlier. That's all right. Let's see. 3 minutes left, guys. If you have any questions, shoot them over. Top nutrients for long distance training. Oh, we got a few. I didn't do the claw challenge. All right. What are some top nutrients for long distance training? Top nutrients are, honestly, I would get from a nutrition standpoint or a nutritionist, they might disagree with me on this, but honestly, calories. If you're doing something for 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, and you're doing something super long, you just need calories in your body. You need fuel. You need something for your body to burn. And whether that's carbs, sugar, whatever it is, your body just needs something to keep moving. And so I'm not a nutritionist, but for me, I just throw down stuff and keep going. So there's some smarter guys out there that could tell you, hey, you need this amount of carbohydrates and this amount of glucose and all this stuff, but just throw some calories down. It'll keep you going. So, all right, guys, we got a few minutes left. So if you have any other questions, shoot them in. And then we'll be back on tomorrow for tomorrow's live stream. And Shane, if you're still on, I'll probably see you at the gym later today. All right, so tomorrow for the live stream, it's going to be we're going to have course and race intel day. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the race we have this next weekend. We're going to be giving some intel as far as the course goes, the race goes, and answer any questions we have there, and kind of go through the race. So if you're running a race with us next weekend, we'll be going through some stuff with you. Let's see, what do we got going on next weekend? I'll be in the truck getting my 6 miles in. There you go. Let's see. August. Let me check Outlast. Oh yeah, we got Oklahoma City next weekend. So tomorrow we're gonna be talking about Outlast OKC 9-Out Edition, which is gonna be Oklahoma City. It's our Outlast event in Oklahoma City, and so we're gonna be covering that tomorrow on tomorrow's live stream. And so you guys tune in for that, and we'll be talking about some of the logistics there, getting into the details of that race. So, all right, guys, we have hit 1 hour. You guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning into the live stream or the podcast, whatever you're watching from. We'll be on again tomorrow, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Central. So catch us there. With that being said, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow if you're going to hop on.